It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's barely held together by a clip, then made complete by the faint smell of urinal cleaner. Just relax. The two sides of the board are slightly misaligned, like a drawer that's come off the slides. All you need to do is bend the plastic on your knee, slowly. The slides snap back into place. It should be possible to just, you know. What are you waiting for? Just. That's because you know where this leads to.
That doesn't sound like it's gonna be fun!
Without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. The compartment is now open. 2 ticket stubs and a handmade postcard. 2 octopuses are smiling, reaching their tentacles toward each other in the colored pencil drawings. The tickets permit access to the zoo in Revershall East. The aquarium costs extra. These let you go there too. The words just crossed your mind somehow. Who do you think? Thin wax paper has been glued to a piece of cardboard. Sounds like leaves rustling when you pick it up. You see violet flowers, floral patterns, patches of glue. It smells of chewing gum, apricot flavored. Exactly like the gum wrapper you found. The same brand of chewing gum. Familiar handwriting lines the inside of the card. Looped, round letters in a woman's hand. A young woman in her 20s. There is care, effort, and a smile, you think. Although that is not something you can read from someone's handwriting. Harry, it begins. You're already reading. I wanted to write you a letter so you can read it when you wake up. Maybe it will make you happy. Your hand shakes holding the card. Every morning when I step out and you're asleep behind me, it says, I find a little piece of sadness in me. I carry it in my chest, down Voyager Road. Every step I take, it grows. By the time I reach the fuel station, it has filled me entirely. I step onto the light rail and look back. Sparks fall from the bow collector. I know it will be like this until late afternoon, when I get off the 42 and walk back to you. You jam the compartment shut. It's hard to breathe. Without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. The compartment, thin wax paper, has been glued to a piece of cardboard. Familiar handwriting. A young woman in her Harry, it begins. Your hand shakes holding the card. Every morning, every step I take, it grows. By the time I reach the fuel station, it has filled me entirely. I step onto the light rail and look back. Sparks fall from the bow collector. I know it will be like this until late afternoon, when I get off the 42 and walk back to you. You. Every step I take will get lighter. It almost makes me run. Sometimes I do. I can't believe I met you. I can't believe the happiness I feel with you. You have a vast, vast soul, and I will always come back to it. Kisses, kisses, kisses. You feel the air sucked out of your lungs and the blood sucked out of your head. Everything around you gets dark. Small white dots appear. Sparks fall like snow from the bow collector. A streetcar distancing. You feel the ledger slip from your hand.
There is nothing. Again. Nothing sad, brother. No treachery, just blackout. Well, Almost nothing. There is the ground below you, that's still there. And the small light that's on, fluttering, somewhere in the basal ganglia. That's me. Blue eyes, that's me. Who was what?
He speaks of the sickening longing, the unwell emotion. Even in the darkness, he's grasping for it. Still trying to hold on to the great sorrows slipping in the water. Slimy.
The call when you're dead, brother.
Here in the paleo-mammalian cortex, we call it the shadow. Because it's always there.
Bloated corpse of the past resurfacing.
Beautiful. Believe me, stupid ape, its lack of beauty was not the problem.
Yeah, man. What was that about? There is no Voyager Road. There are no roads, no houses, no lights in the windows. It's all on pause. You think they would let you? Until you disintegrate into biomolecules? No. Someone is breathing on your face now, inspecting your pupils, stupid idiot.
Yes, they're pouring something on you. It's in you. And
It's delicious. Glowing lights on a dashboard emerge out of nothingness. In the upholstered cabin of Lieutenant Kitsuragi's motor carriage, seated in the driver's basket, the air is thick with leatherworks and heavy fuel oil. Cold water runs down your chin.
Drink. Water.
The water is cold, silvery, the stuff of life itself as it pours down your parched throat. The pounding in your head recedes. The darkness parts.
Drink. You haven't drunk water in 2 days. Did you know the human body is not made to survive on alcohol alone? You need a secondary form of hydration.
With greedy gulps, you down half a liter of cold water. Some of it spills on the driver's seat. The lieutenant pays no heed to it.
What happened? There was a call on the shortwave. Officer passed out in Martinez. I had a feeling it would be you. I'm glad I got here in time. I don't know. It could have been quite a while. That does sometimes happen.
He replies with such understanding, it's as if the burnt-out ruins of the past were an occupational hazard. Athlete's foot for cops.
I found this next to you. I'll tag along for the rest of the day if you don't mind. My business is concluded anyway. Are you okay to go? Good.
Droplets of rain fall on the white on blue police livery of the motor carriage. Do something important? Something murder-related? There's always something important. Doesn't mean you can't take a moment to admire this piece of machinery. This is a Caprice Kanema, the Caprice Motor Corps follow-up to their highly successful workhorse, Caprice 40, and the answer to the Lum's racing breed, Ferv series. With its air-cooled, rear-mounted 12-cylinder compression ignition engine, driving the rear wheels through a 4-speed manual gearbox, the Kanema is able to reach 100 kilometers per hour in 13.5 seconds and go on to a top speed of 180 kilometers an hour. The high center of balance is offset by a large battery bank mounted at the bottom of the cabin, feeding all the auxiliary systems and making the Kanema effectively a mobile power plant. Due to a quite steep price tag, it is very unusual to see one in police livery.
You want to take a closer look? 130.
I reckon that's a 7-liter V12 there.
7.2. Supercharged.
Saying these words brings him immense joy.
Yes, an extraordinary machine.
Helium headlights would improve the range and quality of the visual field a lot.
Actually, I have a pair at home. Just haven't gotten around to fitting them yet. I need to lay some wiring for the ballast first. Maybe. Yes, definitely maybe.
And means no. This must be it. The basement door is weather-worn. The copper nails holding the upholstery in place have turned green from sea air, and there's a knocker shaped like a lion's head. The door is slick with rain. You don't hear any movement inside. In fact, it's oddly silent in the yard around you. No birds chirp. You try to be as silent as you can. It takes a bit of rattling of the handle to loosen the bolt. Finally, the door unlocks with a small clack. Thoughts race through your head. Only curiosity could account for stepping over that threshold. Maybe there's treasure in there. A white alligator. A fountain of quicksilver. Master investigator, you just can't keep yourself away from locked and hidden places, can you? Nothing. You're right. Get in there. Deep. Invade every personal space. Break every lock. Yes, that's what it is. A quick peek here. A short glance there. It's all quite delectable. This is the flag of Revachol, the suzerainty. This isn't just one sun, but there are little suns dancing around the big sun. This is the sevenfold sun miracle. It's an optical atmospheric anomaly the first settlers saw. Happens in cold weather. 6 small suns around the big one. This complex halo phenomena is how old Revachol got its flag.
The tenant is an old-fashioned guy.
By old-fashioned, he means very right-wing. The flag doesn't seem to mind. It's just a colorful fabric with a sun sewn onto it. Like all feudal flags, it looks like a children's drawing. A row of mugs sits on the shelf. Each one depicts a human figure. A dark-skinned woman grinning amidst mysterious symbols. A broad-shouldered man shoveling potatoes, and others. A little ring, Though cheerful, the images on the ceramic make you vaguely uncomfortable. There's something disdainful in the way the curves and lines of the bodies were drawn. The images betray a lack of interest in human beings. They are merely unflattering caricatures. The owner of these mugs doesn't like people of other ethnicities very much. This person is unhappy. The lieutenant picks up one of the mugs, then puts it back down with a look of disdain.
I'm beginning to feel better about breaking into this man's apartment.
Yes, your broken mug friend would feel very much at home here. The same humor, the same mocking lines.
There's the missing tin soldier. Whoever lives here might have used the Whirling's container to dump his trash. And now they've drawn the ire of the Union. The plot thickens, as they say.
An interesting little clue. Let's see where this goes. Clues have a way of magically connecting to other clues down the road. Perhaps you should break into apartments more often.
Who knows? I'm not expecting too much from this clothes in the trash lead either way. It might turn out to be some random local matter, but still, a nice coincidence.
You could ask Evrart who this person is once you're done here. A plaster cast bust. Ruination has come. The broken arches betray the once grand history of this building. It towered over the harbor until it happened. A great force from the northeast fired into the city. Heavy artillery shelled the coastline. Fired from the water, a straight shot into Revachol. The tenement acted as a defensive wall against the worst of the shelling until it was destroyed, and they had a direct firing line. The waves of the Martinez Inlet roll over the fallen remains of the building. The dark waters obscured the better part of the remains. What didn't fall into the ocean was used as scrap. What wasn't used as scrap was thrown into the ocean. Those arches acted as support for something greater than what you see now. Only 3 stories stand where 9 to 12 once did. Restoration has failed. What the shelling took out was never rebuilt. A fleet, the combined armies of Occident and Grad, with Mesk volunteers, a 5-nation army, hundreds of vessels. They massed airships further down in the Bay of Revachol. The artillery was so powerful. The ships not only required gyroscopic stabilization, they were anchored into the ocean floor as well. Many are still there to this day. If you squint, you can just barely see the shadow on the water, far in the northeast. Cannons still ready to placate Revachol. Coalition warship Archer can shoot 50 shells a minute on 20 co-aligned archers. They will reach the city in 58 seconds.
The Coalition. But that was a long time ago. I think we should move on. It's chilly up here.
He does not like talking politics of this kind.
Yes?
Only banal things strike you. At the core, you're a very banal person with a very small soul. One you should be ashamed of. It's no wonder the soft one doesn't want it back. It was right to abandon you. No response. He just arches his brow. He's having trouble processing it, believing it even.
Have you tried concentrating on something other than your personal affairs?
There is a sudden, harsh edge to his voice, like he's tired of hearing about your personal affairs.
Not a fan. It's just the nature of lieutenancy.
The RCM deploys a self-styled structure called the Decomptage as its chain of command. Every lieutenant is responsible for 2 sergeants and 8 officers. That means the average lieutenant has to deal with quite a few personal affairs. Even you know this.
Really? You look fine to me. This psychodrama is unbecoming of an officer.
Clearly, he prefers to think you're malingering. He cannot fathom that anyone could drink so much as to retroactively erase their entire life.
Then you should consider seeking medical attention. You can use the radio in my kinema to call your station's Lazareth. Was there anything else you wanted?
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? It will take just a moment, officer.
Her voices fade out into the familiar radio static.
Gottlieb, what do you want?
He's carelessly chewing on a piece of hard candy.
Oh, it's you.
Was that a snarl or a suppressed groan? No love for you here.
Firewalker? Oh, yes, you are. Just don't breeze in the general direction of your fire feet. Actually, wait. Do exactly that. Put yourself out of your misery. Take a deep, diaphragmatic breath in and...
It would be an artistic statement of some kind or another.
Sounds more like a newspaper headline that will surprise absolutely no one. Now, do you have any current, pressing medical problems? With all the damage you've been dealing yourself with drugs and alcohol, I'm not surprised. What else? I'm not a brain doctor. Look on the bright side. You've got a whole new life now. Use it wisely.
It's hard to say if he doesn't believe you or doesn't care.
Look, pal, getting pump and dump is not a disease. People live through it all the time. You should be happy for her. You must have me confused for a close personal friend. I am not. I am a medical professional with a constant idiot emergency on my hands.
One needs tending to right now, he thinks, looking around the room. God, these apes.
What? You want me to do blood work for you again? Tell you just how bad things really are across the board? You want another rundown of everything collapsing inside your body? You want the real, honest-to-God truth? Stop drinking, eat magnesium and vitamin D. Our station is not a retirement home. We don't have the funds to deal with rock stars past their prime. And no, I don't want to hear a political commentary on the topic. In fact, I got work to do. Some idiot has glued his eyelids shut with cyanoacrylate. It looks like Mactorson.
It's not fucking cryoacrylate. It's super glue, Doc.
Cyanoacrylate is superglue.
Anything else I can help you with, officer? No, and I doubt they'll get back to me before tomorrow morning. Anything else? 57's over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of stairs. Why does art inspire you so much? Excellent question. Art is a diverse range of visual, literary, auditory, and performative creativity. It's an expression of imagination and technical skill. Additionally, it's history, criticism, and pure enjoyment. In short, art is the highest form of human communication, representation, narrative, emotion, and agency intertwined. Have you looked in the mirror lately? You have the exact features of a savage art critic, with that beard and those clothes, disheveled and prophetic. Perhaps you should try to critique architecture too. Of course not. It's autism, box drawing, masturbation with a ruler and a sextant or whatever they use. You should demean and criticize the genteel institution of architecture while extolling the virtues of the pure arts. Only the most experimental kind. Yes, you seek substance. No vapid representations and reproductions of social mores as made manifest in stuffy biennials. We're talking real, living art here. Become the art cop. Half art critic, half cop. Exactly. It's not only your duty to only catch the criminals off the street. You must also apprehend criminals of the printing press and the gallery, the trite and derivative artists and writers of the world. Go ahead and provide savage criticisms, art cop. The world is yours to rip to pieces and reassemble.
mister. I knew you'd be back to talk with old Leo here. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It's like Lady Larice said when she opened a bathhouse in the basement of my apartment building. They can only get so far before they're aching to get back. And lots of folk really did keep coming back. No trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all. It's like that old saying goes, wisdom withers if not shared. And old Leo is always up for sharing. Oh yes, born and raised in Ariash, mister. Mum had to leave my dad after he got a bit violent. Took us here to the new world. I was about 10 then, too old to lose my accent then. People say us Ubis are up to all sorts of trouble with sheep and other animals and whatnot. I just want you to know there was never any of that where I come from. No sir, those are just nasty rumours.
Thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Oh, most of the guys are down at the gates, keeping the scabs from coming in. We're on a strike. The whole union is. You don't have to work when you're on strike. Ha! We haven't worked for 2 months now.
So no one is working?
Not everyone is down there, of course. Mr. Evrart is in his office, where he always is. And Jean-Luc is guarding the gate. But Titus and his boys got into some drunken trouble and Evrart sent them on a nice vacation. For a week or so. Oh, I'm not really supposed to talk about that. That's union business. Him and his boys stirred up something in town. Probably drank too much and got into a fight or something. I heard Mr. Evrart telling him to take some time off.
Don't go all bad cop on this simple, friendly fellow.
I guess the boys got a bit too rowdy and had to let out some steam. I don't really know the details. That's just how boys are, you know. I haven't been in a fight since I was in middle school.
Easy, Leo. Let's keep this on the hard ease.
Look at him. It's not going to be anything useful anyway. Don't fight it. Better to go with the flow.
I remember I was the runt of the class. The bigger boys always used to pick on me. You see, I had a bit of a temper back in the day. Flew off the handle like nobody's business. But Mr. Evrart and his brother always came to help. Once they beat old Noel Becker so bad he needed stitches on his head. Noel never started another fight with anyone after this. Mr. Evrart and Mr. Edgar are real nice guys, mister. You should go talk to Mr. Evrart. I'm sure you'll be good friends. He's friends with everyone around here. Oh, that one. That should be empty as far as I know. Lots of containers here have nothing in them. They're just waiting to be loaded up.
Told you.
Oh, yes. I leave all kinds of notes for myself. That old head of mine ain't so good at keeping things in no more. I almost forgot about the borscht. Oh, yes. I've been taking special whirling borscht to the men every day since the strike started. It's very, very good. Makes a man feel so warm and happy. I feel like I could take on Mr. Renadan's boar dogs every time the lunch is done. Yes. I'm taking it to them. The borscht keeps them happy and in fighting spirits. Makes you all warm inside. They brew it in the whirling in rags. Oh, the whirling's cook. He makes it. Them is always talking with Mr. Manana in that weird language and laughing together. He doesn't speak what we speak. He's from Grad. Oh, sure, mister. Sure. You do that. Yes, sir.
Mr. Dubois, a pleasure as always. You don't have to sit down this time, since you've already sat on that chair. I'm very glad to hear that, Harry. One question. You didn't actually happen to stumble in and see what's inside the apartment, did you?
He's trying to figure out if you're lying. There is no way to sway this man in any direction. He is unsuggestible and unswayable. Just tell the truth.
Exactly the kind of fascist memorabilia I was expecting. Weasel probably prays to it every night for the downfall of the Union.
He was testing you, and you succeeded.
Now let's get down to brass tacks. It's time for men like me and you to figure out who's killed who and why. Real police work is gonna start happening now. I promise you, Harry, this is gonna be good. Racist mugs in the trash and in the apartment? You guys are just light years ahead of me. I have so much confidence in the ability of your organization. I'm relieved you're doing this and leaving me to do what I do best, helping people, with the power of politics.
Yes, yes. Do you think this weasel is somehow connected to the murder?
Oh, no. I don't cross paths like that. All I want is for you to succeed in your investigation. I would never complicate things for you.
Oddly, it seems to be true.
Believe me, Harry, he's a nobody. Just your basement variety nobody. Can't imagine him being connected to a high-caliber case like this. But he does live nearby. Maybe it's a pedantic weasel. Fascists are known to be neat freaks. I feel like a real detective right now, Harry. Am I getting this right?
Would he? I'm not so sure about it.
Oh, you're too kind, Harry. Way too kind. I know I'm not a real police officer. You are. By now, I'm sure you've figured out who the dead man was working for. The bad guys. Wild Pines. Sent to scare us. Another violent measure of the top hats against us flatcaps. Harry, this strike is the culmination of many, many mistakes made by the Wild Pines group. They tried to shut the strike down by sending in armed mercenaries.
You mean our victim?
A security contractor? Can you imagine that? Workers standing in peaceful protest, united in the spirit of fellowship, and they send hired killers to mow us down with machine gun fire? I'm talking beasts, hardened killers from proxy wars in Yisut, Semenine, Saramoritsa, you name it, they've done it. Raping, killing, burning villages, killing little children for the Senorita Pineapple Company, Harry. Everything they did there, they brought over here. They want to turn Revachol into a third world slum. Honestly, the only thing they didn't do is kill the village elephant. No, Harry, the elephant is metaphorical and so is the village, but the mercs and their brutality are very real. Now, I haven't personally witnessed the brutalities out there. I have the luxury of staying in my container, you see. If I need to go somewhere, they just move my container. Yes, I'm an old man, Harry. My legs aren't what they used to be. They lift my office with that big crane. It's actually very fun. You should try it. But enough about me and my fun container. The killers the company hired, I think there were 3 of them, all hardened commando types. One of them got downright suicidal, getting drunk, violent, a little rapey. Even their own negotiator couldn't control him. That's your boy, the one who likes hanging out and trees.
By negotiator, you mean Joyce?
Harry, what you need to realize is, we dock workers are not pushovers. We got grit, Harry. This whole neighborhood does. Push us hard enough and we push back. And when we do, we push to kill. Potentially, Harry, potentially. We got arm wrestling champions, rowing club people, ex-coal miners, tough guys, all ready to spring into action for their home base. There's a militant wing inside the Union. A group of people whose duties don't involve manual labor, but peacekeeping in the neighborhood, making sure everything runs smoothly.
That sounds a bit like organized crime.
They're like you guys. Idealistic people who want to make sure bad things don't happen. And if they already have, well, punishment must follow.
Again, that sounds like organized crime.
So these idealists killed our victim?
One day Titus Hardy, leader of this peacekeeping faction, comes up to me and says, "Boss, socialist democratic fervor drove us to take it upon ourselves to kill this beast that was burdening the land." He probably worded it differently, but that was the idea. Sure sounded to me like they killed him. I gave them 2 weeks paid leave and told them to lay low to avoid retaliation.
Aren't you worried we might arrest them for this?
Oh, I'm not at all worried about that. These are not the kind of men who get arrested. They're Martinez boys, tough and gritty. I'd like to see the man who takes them in. Besides, I sent my lawyer girl to look after them.
If he's just boasting, then it sure doesn't feel like that to you. He's not worried. He places a lot of faith in that lawyer girl. Perhaps this is a tactical error? Anyway.
So they shot him?
He was shot in the head before he was hanged.
How odd. I don't know what to say, Lieutenant. They told me they hanged him. A hanged man is what I saw when I took a look into that yard.
It's impossible to say if he's telling the truth, sire.
What I do know is, the case is in safe hands. If anyone can get to the bottom of this shot and hanged man, it's my 2 little policemen. Godspeed, policeman. How do I know? Let me tell you about these people. That's their MO. It's what they do. Last winter, some poor workers in Terminal E went on a little strike. The company sent in Sediment, a security contractor. The strike was over the workers' right to wear protective footwear, Harry. These guys turn up and start beating people. Tell you what, Harry, I wouldn't be surprised if we got the same mercenary company after a little rebranding. And I'm sure as hell not surprised to see an army of scabs under my gates.
So you believe the scabs were organized by the security contractor?
You said it. Hell, one of those guys looks big enough to take down that proverbial elephant. Boys like that don't just happen to show up during strikes. Of course, you're always one step ahead of me, Harry. I'm no genius. I'm in this position because people like me. Tribunal? That sounds serious, Harry. We union men should be shitting ourselves. I wish you hadn't told me that. I'm gonna lose sleep over this. Let's change the subject.
He's clearly happy about the tribunal.
Oh, Harry, what do I really think about the tribunal? You're trying to climb to second base with old Evrart before you've even courted him properly.
He wants you to do more things for him before.
Oh, they are simply fine young men, all 7 of them. Exemplary union members, always working to advance their position in the local socialist democratic movement. Core members. Old Theo used to run them, but things really kicked into gear when Titus took the reins and named the group after himself. Gotta love his initiative.
Interesting. Who's second in command?
They're almost all of them great guys, born leaders. Whatever happened, I'm sure they only had the best interests of Martinez and Revachol in mind. Work with them. Hell, interview them. But don't fight them. They really are just like you. Men who like beer, women, and some order on the streets. But of course, it's the least I can do for my good friend Harry. I'll do it right after we've concluded this talk.
You can now go and tell Titus about this. See what he has to say.
Also, Harry, here's 5 real.
The lieutenant watches you pocket the banknote. He looks a little puzzled.
Good boy. A real team player. Now, do you have any more questions? Oh, Liz is a bright one. I paid for that law degree myself, thinking it'll probably turn her all fancy. But hell, Harry, she came back a firebrand socialist. Sometimes she scares me with her zeal. Was it a good talk? I'm not sure we made much headway here. I was hoping we'd bust the case wide open. Heck, I even wanted to tell you what I really want to achieve with the strike. I don't know what happened, Harry. I wanted you to feel like Mr. Martinez. And of course, I also wanted you to find your gun. But it's like I can't completely trust you. Yes, Harry. It's like I can't fully trust you if you're not a man of the left. I want to, but I just can't.
A man of the left, so you have to be a social democrat. He's been hurt too much in the past by men who aren't social democrats.
You're saying it, but I don't believe you. You know how it is, company snitches. agent provocateurs everywhere. I'm barricaded in this fortress of mine, and I need to get a message out. Will you help me?
And what would this entail?
Once again, I require nothing unethical or illegal of you. You just need to get 2 little signatures on this piece of paper, and then mail it to my accountant in La Delta. I'm glad you asked, Harry. The Union is going to build a modern youth centre in Martinez. It will be righteous. We're gonna get those teenagers off drugs and on roller skates. There's a nameless little street on the coast with some old houses around it. Most people have already signed. I just need 2 more signatures to get this mission off the ground, Harry. They are just gonna have to deal with the construction noise for 6 months, and then they'll be living like kings. Right next to a fancy new youth centre designed by the best architects from Stella Marie.
Is he absolutely sure the tenants won't be thrown out in the street?
Am I? Harry, these people, Martinez is the most important thing in my life. I would never let anything bad happen to them. We're gonna build a youth centre there. The value of their properties goes up and kids have a place to play in. I'm looking out for these people, not pulling the rug from under them, Harry. I'm looking out for all of Martinez, not just the harbour.
He means it.
It depends. I don't think what we just got from Mr. Clare was very useful.
But, he thinks, it's your call.
As I said, it weighs on me heavily. But once we get really talking, well, I'm gonna hand you the keys to Martinez, and maybe even help you figure out who's behind this killing.
He's saying as little as possible, as vaguely as he can, deliberately omitting things.
On the coast, Harry, across the canal. There's a cul-de-sac there, a little village they're calling it. A gloomy place. You'll find it. I trust your detective skills, Harry. You bring joy to my heart, Harry. Such a pleasure to be working with you. Here, you need to get signatures from Isabel Sadie and Lillian Carter. The cul-de-sac is right past the pawn shop and across the canal. I hear there is some trouble with the water lock, but they should fix it by Wednesday morning. Once you have the signatures, mail this to 13022 La Rocca in La Delta. Then I'll know you're a solid socialist. See you soon, Debardeur. Just kidding, but not too much.
Before the cargo container. Its draw has not lessened since you were last here. If anything, it seems to have grown slightly. An imposing combination of a punch clock and a payphone is looking down at you from the wall. A note on the side says, "Tokens unavailable due to strike. Use change." The machine swallows your coin and seems to be waiting for your next move. It's unclear whether you actually have muscle memory. Right now, your finger is just drawing vaguely occult patterns in the air. Undoubtedly, no. Sure, why not? Muscle memory is a tricky thing. The man ponders his cooking utensils and gives you a little nod, acknowledging your presence. The mention of mañana gets his attention. He smiles and delivers a whole slew of unfamiliar words and lively gestures. Then he falls silent again. They're friends? The man says a couple of sentences in that strange language of his and then seems to wait for you to speak. I'm pretty sure he asked you a question. He doesn't know your language. You can just say something cool in return.
Horse need more vodka?
Okay, so it's vodka that keeps the men happy and in good spirits. Clever move by the Union.
Vodka borscht! I love it, Bratan! Turn it the fuck up and then ask for some yourself.
Turning it up seems like a dangerous idea, honestly. The place is a powder keg. The cook gives you a long, disappointed look, then turns the stove off and seems to wait for you to speak.
It's you again. What is it? A bullet, you say? That's mighty curious.
Indeed, mighty. How did it get there?
Well, there are so many bullets in the world, and so many heads. I guess it's only logical. At some point, one of them bullets had to end up in one of them heads.
It's bound to happen again, you know? Just statistically speaking, of course.
Sire, it would be an event most dramatic if you were to produce the bullet and dangle it before their very eyes.
Wow! He's got it in a real evidence bag and all!
Why don't you go home and log it into evidence? These men have told you what happened.
You know what I think? I think he was shot in the head as a kid, and his brain grew around the bullet.
Around the bullet, man. That's a good one.
All the goofing around is to avoid lying. It's a technique. They're only pretending to enjoy this. Beneath the act, they don't like you knowing this.
Shit! I probably did shoot him. I was drunk last night. You guys know me when I'm drunk.
Yeah, Glenn likes to shoot his guns when he's drunk. Better hope he stays sober.
No, he meant before he was hanged. Did you shoot him before you hanged him?
Before? After? During? This is getting ridiculous. They told you what happened. Stop wasting your time.
Never been worried in my life, lawman.
It's not like you blew it wide open, but there's a little crack in there, somewhere.
Oh, so you went and talked to my mommy, and now she's making me play with you. Is that it, lawman?
And what's gonna happen if we don't? You gonna go and tell on us?
Yeah, I heard him. The fuck do you think I'm doing here? You'd have your ass handed to you if it wasn't for the boss man's word. Let me state this very clearly, Capo. Hello, officer. I'm Titus Hardy, and these are my boys. Hardy boys. How may we assist you?
But having Evrart back you up like that did seem to have some effect.